Hello, everyone. This is The Inquiring Humanist on March 27, 2020, and this is part two of a series I've been doing called The Chinese Silk Road in Economics, Part 2. And the first article that I'm going to read is titled Engine of Growth, Trade Journals across China's One Belt, One Road exceeds 5 trillion since 2013. It's been 5 years since Beijing announced the ambitious multi-trillion-dollar Belt project. The project has created more than 240,000 jobs in BRI countries, according to China's top diplomat, Yang Jiechi. Quote, over the past 5 years, trade volume in goods between China and countries involved in the initiative exceeded $5 trillion, and that is in US dollars. And direct investment stands at over $70 billion, and again, that's in US dollars, said Yang Jiechi, head of the Office of Foreign Affairs of China's Communist Party. He explained that under the framework of the initiative, over 11,000 freight trains are already running between China and Europe. They link nearly 100 cities across the region. Yang also said that construction of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has increased the South Asian nation's GDP by 2%. The Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Railway is expected to boost Kenya's GDP by 1.5%. Over 140 countries and international organizations have inked agreements on jointly building the Belt and Road project with China since its announcement by Chinese President Xi Jinping 5 years ago. BRI, also known as the One Belt and One Road Initiative, aims to boost connectivity and cooperation between East Asia, Europe, and East Africa. The initiative is expected to significantly boost global trade, cutting trading costs by half for the countries involved, according to expert estimates. Beijing, which is focused on trade-boosting infrastructure projects along the path of the ancient Silk Road, had earlier announced plans to extend the BRI to the Arctic by developing shipping routes. The government said it would encourage enterprises to build infrastructure and conduct commercial trial voyages, paving the way for Arctic shipping routes that would form a polar Silk Road. So the Belt and Road project is going to lead to a massive increase in economic development, especially for developing countries in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and maybe even South America. And there have been some reports in the news lately that many people think that China has lost some of its trust due to its handling of coronavirus. I suspect that despite China's handling of the coronavirus, many of the countries have already accepted loans in order to build infrastructure will move forward with those projects, because some of those countries need the infrastructure in order to boost economic growth. And so as of right now, it remains unclear how much the reports of China's handling of the coronavirus will affect the Silk Road project. Now I'm going to move on to a different article that also appeared in RT, and it's titled "Italy Signs Massive Deal with China Despite Cautions from France and Germany." Italy became the first G7 nation to sign up for Beijing's multi-billion-dollar Belt and Road project. The Memorandum of Understanding was signed during Chinese leader Xi Jinping's three-day trip to Rome. The nations also struck additional deals, including in the steel and energy sectors, endorsing Beijing's massive infrastructure project. Italy hopes to boost its economy by gaining access to the Chinese market. Former Italian Prime Minister Franco Frattini earlier told RT that Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative holds, quote, very high significance for Rome and partnered with China. His aim to maximize European interests. His remarks were later echoed by President Sergio Mattarella, who said that the new Silk Road linking Europe to China should be used not only for the exchange of goods, but long-term solutions to common problems and future projects. Beijing, meanwhile, is making efforts to bolster trade with European Union countries as it faces a trade war with the U.S. The full details of the contracts were not disclosed, but reports suggest they be worth up to 20 billion euros or 22.6 billion US dollars. Chinese media wrote that the port cities of Genoa, Trieste, Ravenna, and Palermo may be included in Rome's plan to attract Chinese shipping and investment. Italy's willingness to foster ties with China became a source for concern among some partners in the EU, who see Beijing as a powerful rival. The time of European naivete and an uncoordinated approach towards Chinese influence is over, French President Emmanuel Macron warned on Friday, adding that Beijing took advantage of our divisions. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte noted that certain deals with China can present a problem for Europe. German Chancellor Angela Merkel stressed that everyone must remember that the EU and China are not just partners but also competitors, saying it would be better if the member states negotiate with Beijing as no bloc. Now, it is significant that Italy negotiated with China independently, because when the UK broke away from the EU at that time, 50% of the UK's laws were EU regulations, and so in other words, the EU is concerned about losing influence when it comes to Italy negotiating with China on its own, and I think that this could be a sign that a lot of other countries are not going to be afraid to negotiate deals with China on their own in the future in order to secure investment from China in infrastructure. Now the Silk Road in ancient times covered the distance between Beijing and Rome, and the economy flourished in both across that area. And then when the Roman Empire fell, it hurt the Chinese economy because of the Silk Road. And then during the Middle Ages, the Silk Road kind of built back up, and it went through Constantinople to Rome, and then even after Constantinople fell and became Istanbul, the Silk Road continued. But when the Portuguese established a trade route to India, that bypassed part of the Silk Road, and that broke Venice's monopoly on silk trade, and so ever since then, that the beginning of that period in the 1500s, you had a lot of sea route trades being established. The country with the most powerful naval fleet had reserve currency. First was the Dutch, then the Spanish, and then for a long time the British had the reserve currency, and now America does. And so now with the advent of high-speed rails, that could potentially change, and with the militarization of space, eventually the country with the most powerful space force will be the reserve currency, and that's just speculation based on what has been happening over the last few years, with Trump announcing the creation of a U.S. Space Force. And part of the reason why station of space is happening is because as Silk Road is being built, there will have to be financial transactions cleared in space, and China will have to protect its assets in space. And I suspect that as Russia will eventually want to build out its own payments system, or use a payment system other than SWIFT, so they may have to protect their assets in space too eventually. And so potentially, if China and Italy do sign investment deals that would bring in money to invest in infrastructure, that could greatly improve the economy in Italy. And right now the debt to GDP ratio in Italy is about 135%, and it has been, and the unemployment rate is high and still at 9.75% as of December 2019. And I used the December 2019 statistic for the unemployment rate because that is before the virus, because right now with coronavirus, a lot of people are out of work in Italy, and after the virus is over, I suspect that many of those people who are unemployed now because of coronavirus will probably go back to work after it's over. And so the Silk Road, One Belt One Road project could also help the countries around Italy, like France, Spain, and Greece, because those countries have also had high unemployment rates and high debt to GDP ratios over the last 10 years. And that's all for today. Goodbye and God bless.